Welcome everyone who's joined us so far. And as with all Rise programming, I hope you guys all know the beautiful thing about Zoom, as I said, is that we're recording these as we go. So if you ever can't join us live, whether it's in person starting again next month, or or joining us live, because we're also going to be live simulcasting these things moving forward. They're recorded, so you can always catch them later. But don't forget, check out on Rise Digital. We're going to start gathering again in the classroom. We're going to do it. Does anyone have a Peloton by chance? Oh girl. I love a Peloton because and that's like my dream for Rise Digital. It's like you can come to in studio and ride with Cody and Emma and Allie, or you can join from wherever you are and ride from your home live, or it's recorded and you can do it whenever you want. So that is sort of the future of Rise programming and Rise Digital. So I'm excited to be launching that with all of you. So this is our very last virtual only. So thank you for being with us and a part of that. This month, the whole month of June is focused on business in the digital age. So we've been really, when we develop our program, we really have to think about what are areas, either things that are overwhelming, confusing, what are opportunities for our members to grow their business or grow, personally or professionally, utilizing digital tools. And this was one we really thought about e-commerce. The opportunity to use digital, to use the internet, to use all of these incredible tools to grow both personally and professionally. I think the e-commerce has a little bit more, when people think of e-commerce, they think of what Jean, I'll have her describe her business and tell you guys a little bit more about herself. I hope that didn't confuse anyone too, the term e-commerce, a little bit more product-based in selling. In terms of a tangible physical product. But the really cool thing that I'm excited for Beth to share as well, and you guys are going to hear both perspectives, is that Beth has used turned her service into a product that can be sold virtually as well. And so there's some really cool similarities and differences between there, and they're going to be sharing their experiences with how they found opportunities, expanded on them, seized on them, and how they've been able to grow their business. And so I'm excited for them to share. So thank you all for joining us. Let's get started by Beth Klepper. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your business, but yourself, just as a quick intro to everybody?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So I started Mainstream in June, like 7 years ago, Monday or last week, either way. Thank you, in June of 2014. And my background before that, I went to school for film. Video has been my world, my life. Always knew I wanted to do it when I was very little. And then started working for a television network, and then started Mainstream, as I mentioned, 7 years ago. So I was always very firmly in the production realm, as far as, that's what I did, that's what I knew. And when I started a business, I didn't know much about business, but I had a lot of a can-do attitude, which is one of the most important things you need in business development. So, we have focused on helping businesses, organizations, causes use video to send all their marketing, sales, training messages. So we help people put together social media videos and website videos, and we typically specialize in long-term content plans. And last year, one of the things we had been doing, do you want me to get into the thing now, or just do a quick, is that enough for an introduction?
Maybe just real quick about what it is that you've been doing, and then we'll get into kind of the nitty gritty.
Yeah. Okay. So we had been doing, one of the needs that I saw in our business pretty early on was a need for education around video and what the video medium is, how to create videos, how to make videos. I always say the technology is much further along than people's, ability to use it. And so knowing how to storyboard and script became kind of something I was very passionate about doing. And so we started creating online, or not online, they were live workshops that then we turned into an online course last year. So that's, we still, I would say, 70-80% of our business is still done for you services, and we're hoping to continue to grow the online course side of things.
That's fantastic. I love that. Jean, tell us a little bit about yourself and Kind Soap, a little bit about your journey and your business.
Well, thanks for having me today. I am the founder and CEO of Kind Soap Company here in St. Louis, and I began to dabble with making my own bath and body products whenever my now 18-year-old son was 4 and had eczema on the back of his knees really bad and kept getting the runaround at doctors and getting steroid creams prescribed. And I decided that what I was bathing him in and what I was putting on him was making him worse every night. And so I thought, well, I can't just use water because he's a little boy and he's stinky and gross. So I looked at making my own products out of ingredients that I knew wouldn't irritate him. I researched to figure out what would and what wouldn't, and what were the ingredients in those bad products that were making him so itchy and angry. And so I dabbled in my basement, spent a little time making some really horrible things down there. And then eventually got to the point where I successfully made a bar of soap with oatmeal and goat's milk that it really just cleared him up. I mean, it just, the, the, the double whammy of stopping all the irritating things and then putting some things on him that were actually soothing cleared him up. And I was transitioning sort of in my life at the time to move from being a creative director, working with other brands, and working on packaging and those types of things, to doing my own thing. And so I decided to create my own brand, and I called it Kind because I wanted the products to be kind to your skin, kind to the earth, and kind to others. And so I just kind of developed a product line based on safe, natural personal care products, and started actually selling at farmers markets and things like that. And I had a website that was very rudimentary. It was, over 10 years ago. It was a GoDaddy website where the actual shopping part had to be a separate website that you had to click to. And I set it up, but it was my first e-commerce foray, and I knew nothing technology wise about it. And it just kind of sat and languished there for 5 or 6 years while I actually built the retail side of my business and opened up a little store eventually, and then moved to a bigger store where we are now. And now it's been 10 years. I've got a team of great women. There's about 10 of us total, and we sell at our store in Webster Groves. We also sell wholesale to other stores like Whole Foods and some online stores as well. And then we have product lines for men, babies, lips, personal care, bath, all that stuff, and have really started to focus on e-commerce in the last couple of years. So yeah, I mean, it's been sort of a journey, and I can get into more of the e-commerce stuff later, but that's the basics of where I'm coming from.
That's really cool. And what I think is neat too. So did I hear you right? You said the technology's really changed. It sounds like a lot too, of like you had Kindso website, but then you had to go someplace else to buy it. And it's like, so you really probably seen and experienced a lot of shifts over time as well. And so bravo for being ahead of the curve and so many of these things, and a trailblazer. And then also sticking through all of the changes and punches. That's really exciting. And then
I basically ignored that part of the business though. So it wasn't like I was really sticking through it. I was just like, I don't get that. And so I'm just going to do this for a long time. So
fair. Yeah, I can see that. Well, and hopefully, I think it sounds like there's tons of technology out there that's hopefully making it easier to be less of that thorn in your side and more of an opportunity to make money while you're sleeping, hopefully, and things like that, and really expand your reach, which is exciting. So what I want to, and I'll head back to you. Well, actually, no, sorry, not to, but well, Jean, you were just talking, so I'd love to stick with you for a second. So what trends or needs and things were you seeing that told you that either expanding your online or giving it a little bit more of that attention was going to be beneficial for your business?
I think seeing people order mattresses online was a big eye opener for me.
Sure.
I always thought no one's going to want to buy this stuff online because you want to smell it. You want to, soap is so personal. And I'm thinking, if you don't even have to lay on a mattress and buy like a couple $1,000 mattress online, you're going to buy like a $6 bar of soap. I mean,
That's so true. I never thought about that. Yeah, something you sleep on every single night and spend
right.
thousands of
It's
dollars.
the thing, like, if you can't try that in person and you're still like willing to take the chance online, you're going to take the chance online with something under $10, you know?
Yeah.
So that kind of like, it was a, you know, there was a little bit of a, I think, an internet shopping revolution that happened, and especially with Amazon. I mean, Amazon, when it kind of went from, I mean, I think we all forget, like, Amazon was where you went to buy books online.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? I remember hearing the concept of the Prime membership. I was
Yeah.
like, that is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. I'm going to pay $100 to not
Right.
pay for shipping. Who would do that? And now it's like,
Who doesn't have Prime, right?
so
So, yeah.
impressive. Yeah.
So it was there was a time period there, and I don't know exactly how long ago it was, but where it was like people were buying mattresses, people were, you know, ordering clothing, people were, you know, ordering beauty products. I mean, everything. And so there was no, you couldn't avoid the idea that, like, if you put it on there, people are going to buy it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, they can find it. That's the hard part now these days because it's so cluttered, but um that you couldn't avoid it anymore. Like, if you were going to grow as a business, you had to do that because people's shopping habits were going from walking into stores to ordering on their computer in such a huge way. Not like a little, like, it didn't take 20 years for that to change. It took like 2 or 3 years for that to change.
Yeah.
People's shopping habits. I mean, people still go out and stuff like that, but like the numbers, when you look at like how much online shopping has jumped in the past 10 years, is like, if you're not on there, you're not really fully in business. So
Sure.
if you're selling something, so
Sure.
it's you know, it was like a necessity really. If you're going to grow your business, you have to. So
Sure. Well, and then a year and change ago, pandemic hit and people really weren't coming. So you closed your physical store, I suspect, during.
we closed from March to August,
Okay.
but we did do curbside pickup.
Okay.
So you still had to order online though. So if we were not already set up online, like, I know some, you know, I have some friends and stuff that weren't set up online. They had boutiques or whatever, and man, they had to scramble to like get a website put up there because otherwise you can't do business, right? So luckily we were up and running really well with online for several years before that hit. But if we hadn't been, and we weren't able to really transition to curbside, adding curbside into the mix as a pickup option for local people, yeah, it would have been a vastly different scenario. So
Yeah.
yeah, we did online shipping and curbside pickup from March to August, and then we opened up in August and still maintained a really robust curbside pickup option because people still didn't want to come into the stores necessarily. Sure. Some people did, some people didn't. So we added, you know, we're probably never going to get rid of that at this point. Well, maybe not never, but at least not for the foreseeable future.
I mean, I totally get it as a mom too. It's like, oh my gosh,
yeah, even if it's not COVID related or whatever, it's like, how convenient is that for people that don't want to get their kids out of the car?
totally. Yeah. Or you're like,
Front, you don't even have to get a parking space. You pull up right in front of the store and we bring it to you. So
yeah, you're like, I can continue not wearing pants and I can still shop. This is brilliant. So yeah, that's a trend that I can see where, yeah, it's like if you're not selling, either doing curbside or having just delivered, I always feel a little like super lazy having something local shipped to me because I'm like, oh, I can't drive all the way to Kirkwood or Webster. It's like, yeah, no,
it's an option.
Yeah.
And it, you know, we have free shipping over $49. So if you want to buy it, we have plenty of people that ship a bar of soap. Like,
Yeah.
it's the convenience factor of it.
Yeah.
And we don't love that just because we're trying to be as eco-friendly as possible, and that's, you know, shipping costs and, you know, carbon emissions and all that stuff. But you know, it's necessary sometimes, and sometimes it's old people that can't get out. Like, they can't. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
You know, if we have curbside or not. They don't drive. They don't. You know, I mean, so it's, you know, it's got to be an option. And it
Yeah.
is, so.
I can see that. Yeah. For you and for your customers.
Right.
I love that. Well, so Beth, talk to me then, what sort of needs and trends were you seeing in your industry, both leading up to the pandemic as well as then during the pandemic when your opportunities for face-to-face service providing shifted? What trends were you seeing, both whether it was with competitors or others in your industry or in totally different industries, and you were like, ooh, this is something I should really look into for my business?
Well, it's funny, when I started my business, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't have business experience. So it was very much, I think I heard a podcast and was introduced to the idea of an online course and was like, that sounds amazing. You can just turn your, computer into an ATM machine, basically, make a recording and let her rip. And so I'd always kind of had it in my mind that that was something I wanted to do. And I also teach at a college in Denver here. So teaching was a natural, educating people. I just didn't see until I got into the business and started serving people, realizing the educational component, and more importantly, how much stuff was online and how much people want to learn online and how much they need that before they would ever buy a done for you service. That was kind of the biggest trend I was seeing, is people were talking to me specifically about DIY videos and how do I make my DIY videos. And I took this course here and, okay, how do I compete with that? How do I make, a product like that? And we had a couple different iterations of it. The video marketing 101 that we taught was originally always supposed to be attached to our done for you services. It was, we were kind of modeling it like a cooking class, like, come to the class, I'm going to teach you about video, and then we're going to shoot something right here, get you going, and you'll have a video and the education piece. And we were trying to stay away from teaching people the DIY piece, but I learned pretty quickly that that's what they needed to understand. That, how do I use my own camera? How do I use a free editing software? How do I do that? And as long as I taught them that and got them, then they would be more willing to hire me. They just needed to definitely, or hire us. They just needed to know that that wasn't as easy as a solution as it, looked. So we with the first actual on course we did was called Story Selling with Video. And that was, it wasn't a bust, but it was like the first iteration of my online course. And it was basically trying to teach everybody everything I know about producing videos. So the kind of key difference between, being a producer is that we joke in the industry, like, producers don't do anything. They just hire smart people around them to do everything, right? And so teaching producing was a little bit too far of a stretch. That course didn't sell well, but we were always able to get people to the DIY courses, or that conversation seemed to be what people wanted to hear. And so we had, at the end of somewhere a couple of years ago, it was clear I needed to just focus on what I was, just focus on the done for you services, not build any more online courses. And then the pandemic hit, which was not funny, but I was like, okay, good. I wanted to take Video Marketing 101, which was really, it was an event we were doing as a loss leader, bring people in, educate them, let them know how to use an iPhone so that they could see how complicated it was, or let them use an iPhone and, get moving on video, whatever worked for them. So we were able to just take that, and it was literally, I think we got shut down on it was like Tuesday, it was looking bad. I was like, we got to shoot that course, get it online, shot on Friday. And then Tuesday was the stay-at-home order. And so we spent the pandemic making that course online and putting it on Thinkific. And for me, the big lessons were the trends I was seeing, to go back to your original question, was people, the questions that you think people need to ask are not the questions they're asking. And the answers you want to give are not necessarily the answers they're after. I had to simplify to make a course sell. And that was just such a light bulb for us once we were able to kind of translate. And then, even our big clients that, we do their video projects for, we send them to Video Marketing 101 anyway, and say, start there, take the hour-long class, spend the $97, and then come back to us, and you'll be a much more educated buyer. You'll be able to do, it'll be that much better. And a lot of the people that use the course also will just hire us a la carte. So it's, they'll shoot their own stuff on an iPhone, but then they'll hire us for the back end. So it's kind of become a hybrid model. And, I just wanted to be able to leverage that. That was kind of my first genesis. And then it kind of made perfect sense with just what I was seeing in terms of marketing trends, content trends, what was available to people. You kind of had to have that, or they were going to go somewhere else to get it.
Yeah. Well, and what I love hearing is what a funnel, it's so funny how you said you simplified to make it sell. And that
yes,
it's most bare bones simple. is what ends up bringing you the most money, so that people are like, oh my gosh, I need to hire her to do this thing too, which is great. I mean, that's genius. That's awesome.
And it makes sense in hindsight because, when we put story selling with video, which was my here's everything I know about production, it was, you were trying, and I love the 101 kind of naming, just because, yeah, you don't get to start, we don't ever get to start in like advanced physics if we don't know the basics. So I was bringing people into advanced video, talking about how to manage an editor, and when they didn't even know what a script or a storyboard looked like, or why doing it this way mattered. So yeah, that was just absolutely the testing the market and seeing what the need was for an education.
Well, and smart too in the titling, I think too, of the 101, because then, as you said, they're going to probably be overwhelmed a little bit in this 101 that then is like, oh, wait, this is where we're just getting started. Either, okay, this is palatable, and then I'm going to either buy more courses or expand, or, as you said, what a lead gen or, a business development opportunity as well. So,
Definitely.
and I love hearing that you talk about how you didn't have it exactly right when you first offered it, and you had to really change and pivot.
And I think I think we actually, as a big revenue generator in our business, is actually putting together people's online courses. And so, I think it totally depends on where you're at in business, how successful you're going to be, and how quickly that's going to happen for you. For us, we were still so in a genesis of testing our markets and what do we sell and what is our brand. To try to make an online course that went with that was challenging. But we've had coaches and consultants hire us to make their own online courses that, we had one guy, he made a 60-day program that he sold online, and he, it was $5,000 a course that he sold out immediately and was able to make the return on investment immediately. So I think it depends on your business and where you're at and how well you understand your market, how quickly you're going to be successful. For us, we were testing, so much in the beginning that was just part of the game for us.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Well, so what I like here, so you kind of answered my next question, which I think is great, of like, you were selling things, you created new products to sell online, because this wasn't something this wasn't a course that you did in person with folks, because it's also just not the nature of your business. Jean, I'd love to hear, so for your online sales, is there anything that's online only, or does online create, or are you just literally selling what you have in your physical storefront is just available online? Or what are the differences between products available online versus in store? And how does that dynamic work for you guys?
We actually have more in store than online, just because setting up a new product online and all of the back end stuff you have to do with it. I mean, like sometimes we're just going to do a one-off bath bomb or something that just we're going to try a new scent. So we're not going to like go through the trouble of putting all of that online whenever we've only got 18 and we're going to sell those in store. And so it's like, and if it becomes something we have all the time, then eventually it goes online. So there's a lot of like what we consider R&D and testing in the store that doesn't make it online. And sometimes people are like, well, I want that new blah, 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 blah that I saw in your store, but I can't find it online. And so sometimes it's a little bit disappointing for people, but then we'll sort of be like, okay, let me see if we have one. Just order a regular bath bomb, and then in the notes say we want that, sandalwood nectar or whatever, and we'll get it put together right now so that it's off to you. So if they communicate to us, then we work it out like somehow, like, okay, we'll just do the order over the phone instead of having to go through online or whatever. So there are definitely some things that don't get put online until we know that they're going to be something we have year round, or at least seasonally. And but it's also kind of a little bit special for the people that are local, because when you actually take the time to go and find a parking space and get out of your car and walk in the rain and walk in the door, you get to kind of have a little bit of special treatment there, where we wait on you and we show you different new things. And so we don't want to necessarily turn our business into just like everything and online everything, because we feel like the experience of being in the store and the smells and everything is still sort of like where we want to, where our brand kind of lives. but we want to give that to people that aren't necessarily in town. I mean, we ship to every state in the US, you know, so and you know, there's a balance of like um not alienate people from out of town either, where it's like, well, you know, this isn't really my brand because I'm in Oregon and this is a St. Louis thing. So it's a balance of like, on social media, do we really say like, hey, there's this event in, you know, in Webster Groves, it's our, you know, our big, you know, girls night out where you get 15% off, you know, but then like people like in California are like, well, that didn't help me, you know. So it's, we have a balance of being like a local brand, but also we want to be a national brand, and it's a fine balance there. So
Yeah.
really need to work a little bit harder on giving our online peeps, our, you know, people that can only get stuff from online, giving them a little bit more special stuff, because if it really feels like, probably if you go through our like our social media feed and everything, that we're a local brand, you know. So it's a little bit of a balance, and that's one thing we want to do this year, is really do some online only things. Of course, when we have done online only things, we get people to come to the stores like, well, can I get that too? It's like, yeah, you can get that too, you know. So it's a bit of a balance there that we haven't got 100% right all the time, but
Sure. Sure. What is your mix of sorts? Like, you know, your local customers, or by expanding online? I mean, you say you ship to all 50 states. Do you have customers in all 50 states? I mean, people are finding you all over the country and you're shipping all over?
yeah, I mean, maybe not like at this moment. I mean, it's just over the last, we did kind of a little bit of analysis over the last year. We shipped to 48 states. I think Alaska and Hawaii we didn't ship. No, we actually did. There was another one that we didn't ship to. So yeah, I mean, so it's hard to balance that local and that national thing a little bit, because we want to be. I mean, we don't want to just be only a local entity, you know. So and we're not, and so sometimes we need to do that. E-commerce needs to become. Um, we need to give a little bit more thought to the marketing aspects of e-commerce and the promotional aspects of e-commerce that we haven't really given yet. We've just really just stuck it out there, like, here, you can get it there if you need it.
Sure.
That's something we're really working on this year.
Gosh, you know, and regardless of what your business, your industry is, I can really see that as being a consideration set, is because there's such power, especially now more than ever, in the importance of supporting local and buying local. And now that we're all returning to some in person and all that, it's like you want to embrace and people want to help and support, as opposed to being just yet another online XYZ, whatever your industry may be.
Right.
But flipping that over, it's like thinking about how many and how much money I'm sure that you make, and then the opportunities that come from being a national brand, or even the panache of having a more national voice and focus and things like that as well. So I'm sure that is really challenging in figuring out how to kind of balance that. And I even think about that with you too, Beth. It's like the power of your local clients, and customers and things who are local. They want to work with someone from Denver. But then on the other hand, it's like, oh my gosh, the opportunities, especially now you're expanding and able to work with and make money from people all over the country or all over the world. It's like, ooh, or do I need to raise my profile? And I'm not just a Denver brand, I'm a world brand. So I'm sure that is really challenging. Have you, started wrapping your head around that at all, Beth?
Totally. Because your network is typically, I mean, the St. Louis excluded here, but typically your network is in the city you live in and the people you do business. I mean, we just released we have a video content strategy we do where we feature a case study. And this week it was the Aurora Chamber. So it was, so specific. Aurora is a city in Denver, for those of you who don't know.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of us are familiar, unfortunately, with the shooting there. So I'm
yeah.
I do know Aurora.
That's right. You do know Aurora. Okay. Well, they have a wonderful chamber and we did their videos, but it is balancing that, and also absolutely looking for the opportunity. I mean, that was the other appeal for me in the online course model, was somebody in London or Australia could absolutely buy this course. And when we switched it during the pandemic, and I kind of mentioned, we teach people how to DIY it, and then people will hire us just to do the editing. That can be done anywhere. I mean, we shoot out of state and we'll do projects out of state, it doesn't always make a ton of sense to do that just because it's, there's good crews local or, so we don't do as much of it, but editing, there's no additional cost. It's put it on Dropbox or on a WeTransfer and we can edit it for you. So I think a big part of the reason to do online anything is because of what it makes possible nationally or even internationally.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I wanted to just like a quick short answer, because the platforms that you guys use to sell your products and services. Jean, which platform do you guys sell through?
We have a WordPress site and we sell through WooCommerce.
WooCommerce. Okay. How about you, Beth?
We use Thinkific.
Thinkific?
Thinkific. Mm-hmm.
And are you guys happy with those? Or if someone was like, oh, either it sounds like one of you look for others, or you're like, oh no, raving fan, check it out. And we won't tell them.
We ended up doing a kind of a deep dive earlier this year because we switched our website / SEO / online company that kind of like helped our hosting and all of this stuff, and they suggested we move to Spotify.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
The reason why I didn't do Spotify, whenever I redid the site. The original site was on GoDaddy for years, like where it was just languishing. And I moved it myself to Wix, which was really easy actually. And I'm a graphic designer by trade. So that's like in my wheelhouse, not the code writing part, but the graphic part, so Wix was really good for that. But when we brought a company on to help us with that, they were like, no, you got to get off Wix. You got to get something more SEO friendly. And so they built us a WordPress site, which I can't do much with because it's all a lot of code, and WooCommerce is part of it. But so I had to kind of teach myself some of it just to make changes on my website so I didn't have to pay them every time. So I thought I need to do my own Spotify site Shopify.
Oh yeah, Shopify. Yeah.
Because that's kind of the gold standard in e-commerce. But at the time, and this was like maybe 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, they were kicking the payment portion of it, which was through Stripe, I believe, like where the credit cards go through for Spotify. They were disabling a bunch of natural product sites at the time, and there was like this whole uproar because they decided not to process payments that were linked to cosmeceuticals. Okay, so like a lot of these, like you can't sell guns necessarily on Shopify because the payment processor, the bank, it's like guns, drugs, CBD is one of them that also like you have to have a special processor. So they were like just disabling sites where people were selling products with vitamin C and titanium dioxide, things that like they felt people were making medical claims, like your skin would get better with vitamin. Like it was this whole huge thing. Sure, and so all these people in kind of my space were left in the lurch of not having a site all of a sudden. They just got taken down. So you either had to pay double the processing fee to go through a third party and keep your site on Shopify, or a lot of people were going to building their own site through WooCommerce and doing their own payment system through something else. Yeah. And so we chose to go WooCommerce and WordPress and all that stuff. And so I think since then it's been rectified somehow, because I see a lot of people with Shopify sites that are like in that whole, natural products or products in general. So that must have like worked itself. They must have realized that was stupid, because that was stupid. But but we already had this site built. So earlier this year when we switched companies, they were like, you need to be on Shopify. That's the gold standard. But then they really started looking into SEO and basically, is there a good reason to take this $10,000 website we had built 3 years ago? Yeah. And another $10,000, $18,000 website or whatever they quoted us just to be on a different platform.
Sure.
And
I see
deep
that.
dive, so there's no real reason to switch it out. Like it's not going to make, there's nothing magical on Shopify that we can't do on WordPress and WooCommerce. So we didn't end up switching. But if I was going to build it from scratch now, I
Mhm.
probably would do it on Shopify
Mhm.
because, am I saying that right?
I think so. Yeah. Shopify sounds, I think so.
I want to say Spotify too, but all right, Shopify. Because you have a more control as a creator, like it'd be so much easier for me to do the design work on Shopify than WooCommerce. And I just had them put an overlay on called Beaver Builder so that it's more of a WYSIWYG, which is like what you see is what you get with the graphic
Yeah.
design thing. You don't have to do code. It's a, so it's
Sounds
a
more
lot of
convenient.
code and stuff on WordPress. But so I would, if I was doing it now, I would definitely just do it on Shopify as long as I could use the same payment processing and not pay an extra fee.
Totally.
So sorry, that's a really long-winded answer to what you
No,
asked.
but I think it's helpful insight, just knowing pros and cons. Some people like the control and stuff I know they get from having, if they um, if they understand all the code stuff, it's like, it's a huge benefit. But then if you're maybe more of a WYSIWYG person, it's like Shopify could be good. And see, or looking into both of them, figuring out what's the best.
Yeah, I suggest looking into both of them, but if you don't have coding background or like a husband that codes for free for you or something,
Yeah.
I would
Or
definitely
teenager.
Shopify. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I wanted to know, I've gotten a couple of good questions in on the chat, so I wanted to take a quick pause. I've got some other questions for you guys, but I want to make sure we ask the ones that our attendees have asked. So, and we kind of, okay, so this would be a good one for you, Jean. So what are your best suggestions for having an online store option and having a local business producing them, which is the type of business that you have? This member says she has a sweatshirt store or spreadsheet, sorry, I'm not sure the word, of products, but would like better prices and to support local. Jana, did I get that question accurate?
Yes, Spreadshirt is a online product and store company. So like I have a store on their site. So all kinds of products. And so, like they're from baby bibs and a coffee cup to my t-shirt line, right? And so I wanted to know, like, if there's a suggestion, because like some of those prices are kind of expensive. And so if I wanted to switch, or how do you guys operate maybe, or anyone on here that like, if I want to source like a local t-shirt product or company versus using that or doing both, like if there are any suggestions for that sort of situation.
Okay. Yeah, Jean, does that sound, or Beth, either of you feel like and that may, let me know if you guys, sounds like something you guys are able to opine on.
I think that definitely is more Jean's world, so I will I'll defer.
We recently signed up with Faire.com. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them or not. It's FAIRE, and it's a wholesale marketplace. So it's for people like you that sell things on your own boutique online or whatever, and it's to get wholesale products. It's like going to a big trade show, but you don't have to because it's all online. And so we joined about November of last year, and it's been amazing. Like we've gotten so many products to sell into other people's stores, boutiques all over the country in that time. And you could specifically, it wouldn't be necessarily local, but you could put in there you want to look at companies from St. Louis, and then it'll kind of give you that, and it gives you 60-day terms, which is great for like a lot of like a lot of small businesses that sell, like say they're selling honey wholesale. They don't necessarily have the setup to give you 60-day terms. They want you to pay by credit card right then when you order it, right? So this has a lot of benefits for the retailer and also the wholesaler like me. So because it takes care of a lot of back end stuff for like me, but a boutique like you could order from them, get a lot of really good terms, get a lot of really good like policies like damage and all that stuff. And so it kind of brings those two worlds together. without having to go to a big trade show and placing a giant order. I mean, you can just kind of like your first order is like 20% off, and you can just get a small, every business that's on there has different like minimum order range. I think ours is like $150 or something, but it's a really good place to kind of like discover other products out there. And you could definitely kind of search locally too. Just it's an easy, spot to do that. And there are other businesses popping up like that online that are different than Fair, but they're the same general concept. And I'm seeing those all the time, and we get asked all the time to kind of join those. And so I think it's becoming the new virtual trade show, type of situation. So you don't have to go and, walk 18 miles around Las Vegas. Although, I mean, Las Vegas isn't a bad place to visit, but, someplace and just try to find all these products, that you can carry in your own store. We actually carry products we don't make. We used to carry a lot more, and we used to carry a lot of local stuff, but we just ran out of space for it. But we sell like eco-friendly, like cotton, loofahs and poofs.
Oh, sure. Complementary type products to your
accessories and stuff like that. We have like soap lifts and stuff like that. So we actually kind of, are on the lookout for those things too. And so that's, I don't know if that answers your question, but I hope it helps a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's good. Well, and not to stick with you too much, Dean, but another good question that came in that was on sort of my list that I wanted to chat about is tips for inventory management. And I think this potentially could apply to you as well, Beth, if you're trying to limit the number. I don't know if you set any limits on the number. If you're like, hey, sky's the limit, let's sell my online course all day long. Or if it's like, oh no, we're only selling X amount, and how to manage that. So from a physical product versus a service product. So not to exclude you, but I know immediately this makes me think of Eugene in terms of inventory management that one of our attendees asked.
So the quick answer for me is to have a person do it for you. Like I have a COO, Angie, who's like my right-hand man. I'm the right brain of the group. She's the left brain of the group. I am not good at any sort of inventory management or anything like that. Like I wouldn't even know where to start. She does it all. And honestly, there's no magic like software out there that we found because we have, I just see her and, a couple of the girls doing inventory every once in a while and just going around the whole store. And like, I don't know that there's, as far as online goes, e-commerce, we put in, it's hard because when you have a physical store and you have an online store, like we could put in, okay, we have 20 of these, soaps, but, throughout the day, we have a couple people buying them online, in store. So now we have 18, but the website still says 20 because it's not like, that's two different inventories. So that's a really difficult thing. And we haven't really figured out a good way to integrate those two without it being like a lot of data entry, like every day. So I don't have a great answer. I'm really, really sorry.
Oh, no, I appreciate the honesty of it. And because I think that's what people are figuring out as they go along and the challenges and just learning as you go. And I think probably the biggest thing too is, oh my gosh, mentally, like knowing which type of person you are. It's like, is this something that's going to kind of like play to my left brain because I'm the organized person or if you're, like you said, the right brain person, like I'm not going to succeed probably at doing this myself anyway. So let me find the right type of person who can help me with that, who this is their jam. So I think that's probably the biggest key takeaway for sure.
A lot of people, when they're starting a business or something, you can't afford to hire a person to do that. Sure. So I just say, just do a Google search, the best inventory system for e-com. I'm like, seriously, I do that like almost every day of like just things like what comes up on Google, what it looks like it's not an ad to like sell something, but like an actual like trusted source where they actually reviewed a bunch of different things. Sure. And just do the best you can until you can afford to hire someone to do it for you.
Well, I like this, thinking about you, Beth, and this is not to interrupt you because I think you're about to have a good answers, but this also, I think, plays into the inventory, at least from like a merchandising standpoint as well. Like the system, like to organize and keep the content that you're producing, like how to present it and sell it, how to keep it organized, both from you as Veckin as well as for your end user and consumer. So do you have a particular system or a server, or tell us more about that?
Well, definitely. I mean, I think, one of the things I always think is very nice about a services business is you don't have inventory. People that have to deal with inventory stresses me out quite a bit. But then you're selling an intangible, which is also has its challenges as well. So for us, we can sell 1 million courses a month if we wanted to. We make that one video file or the 6 or 7 video files. And Thinkific is the platform we use. And we chose Thinkific. The other popular ones are Teachable. Kajabi is probably the most popular as far as online courses go. Kajabi has a lot of different integrations, like a website or a website and then email. Thinkific, we had all of that set up. So Thinkific is really just a portal. It's like $37 a month if you pay all in 1 year. And then we post our videos to Vimeo. And then you take the Vimeo link, Thinkific, like think, but terrific. Thinkific. I'll put it in the chat. But so yeah, you basically there's a couple, there is, I guess, inventory in some ways, but when you're creating a video, you have your flattened video file. To produce that, you obviously have your raw video file and any visual elements that go with it. And then it goes into a flattened link, which lives on Vimeo, and then Vimeo integrates with Thinkific. So Vimeo holds all of our videos for everything we do. And then you can post it to Thinkific, and then Thinkific lets you put in a worksheet or, what they call homework. And it's really user friendly. What's great about Thinkific as well, they do the whole payment portal, everything. And then they even communicate with your students. So if somebody has bought the course and they haven't taken it, they'll say, hey, John, get back in here, do this, which is great because my customers will email me and be like, I'm going to get to it, I promise. And I didn't send that to you, but so they're really helpful that way. And I recommend Thinkific, but all of the platforms have different functionalities.
Very cool. I think that I was wondering about that too. Like, yeah, why would you put, I can see though, like the FOMO is a powerful thing. Like, oh, we're only selling 100 of these, or something on that Business Made Simple, which is, I don't know if you guys, what is Story Brand.
Yes.
They do I know that the pandemic shifted the way that they did business. They used to do all like in-person live trainings. People would fly to Nashville or fly to Vegas and do all of their trainings and things in person. So obviously they shifted to online. And I think they've said, similar to Eugene, like, we're not changing this because we're able to sell it all day long, all day, every day. And what also that gets me thinking about is for both of you both, Jean, you touched a little bit on some challenges of marketing, but marketing, once you have an online product and service, either what tools you're using to market. I mentioned Business Made Simple, StoryBrand, they use a lot of email and a lot of really smart like drip campaigns and email. So I know email marketing is huge for them. So I'd love to hear what you guys and what you've experienced so far, pros and cons, things like that, in terms of making the world aware that your online products are available and how to get to them.
That's definitely the hardest part. Especially because you touched on it, if you can have an unlimited amount, you have to find scarcity and a sense of urgency in a different way. So that's launches and email drip campaigns and specials, and some of that stuff works and some of it doesn't, and you have to test and retest and what makes the most sense. For us, I would say it's going to sound, it's convenient, but our biggest source of marketing is video marketing. We put out a video every week on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on our vlog, and it does a couple things for us. One is it just keeps us top of mind with all of our network. It shows, practice what we preach, and then it builds our credibility because we've been doing it for years now. So people can go back and see, wow, they're consistently putting information out there. They're still around. And then it is about being really clear on what the next step is. Hey, if you want to get started with Video Marketing 101, go here. Or if you want the full service option, go here. So I think it's about finding a marketing strategy that works for you. I would say 9 out of the 10 you try don't work for you. And then it's that 10th one, and then you double down on that. That's worked for us anyway.
Yeah. Have you experimented with like discounting, promo codes or,
Yep. Yes. Yep. All of it. And and that's the thing. We sold it really cheap and that worked. And then
Mhm.
those people didn't take the course because they didn't value it. And so it was like, well, that's not good for anyone. Like, great, we got their, couple dollars, but they didn't take it. We didn't give them anything really. So we raised it really high. That was too high. We can't, experiment with the price in general to find the right fit. Um, and then, it's really, yeah, it's just about knowing who that customer is and making it crystal clear that, I mean, I'm a big story brand person too, so if this is what you're looking for, this is the problem we solve, take this course and then call us for the next piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And then are you developing like the next product after? It's like, okay, you took the 101 and are you using your experience and success thus far to then say, okay, you took this. Now here's, I forget, is it 102 or 201?
Well, it's interesting because it's not any of those. It's like advanced producing is what I would call that. I mean, honestly, it's something that if you're not in the industry, it's not a fit. And that's one of the things we learned is that might be a great product for a videographer that's had a business for a while, like how to actually produce and hire the right teams. It might be more for our industry than it is for the direct to consumer type, not consumer, it's still B2B for the most part, but that's video marketing 101 is for people that are just putting their foot in to the whole video marketing world. Story selling is more for, here's how to think about being an executive producer,
Sure.
and the bigger thing is we sell our done for you services on the back end. So we sell the editing, we sell the shooting, the consulting. That's kind of
Got it.
where they go next. And it's kind of a choose your own adventure. I never know. I mean, sometimes people will come to me and they have a big idea of what kind of videos they want to make. And I start them with video marketing 101. So then when they come back, we're both speaking the same language and I have a sense, but sometimes they just want consulting. Sometimes they just want editing. Sometimes they just want to show me their video that they made. Sometimes they hire their friend's film student down the street, and that's fine too.
Yeah. Very cool. And yeah, you found sort of that sweet spot price where it's like worth our time, worth
Right.
theirs. They've got enough skin in the game, and that's smart. And that
Yes.
probably, and that's a great learning tool. And as you said, 9 times out of 10, you got it wrong until finally in the 10th, you got it right.
Well, and that was one of the big selling points is it's only an hour. I'm trying to get people to, sometimes the length of your course is going to, some people want a lot of hours. Some people don't want a lot of hours. For me, this is $97 and it's an hour and a half of your time. And you are going to save thousands of dollars if you plan to do any video. I promise you that. That's kind of our, and getting in that messaging. I mean, it seems like an easy thing to say now, but we said it 100 different ways before we've said it that way and realized that's kind of what people were responding to.
Totally. That's awesome.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, Melanie.
Yeah. Related to like discount codes and like the perception that I'm getting a deal. I have a product that we're going to price at a retail price that we're never going to actually achieve that retail price. And so you give somebody a discount, but if it's listed on the website at that retail price and you see it like, it pops up on the Google and you see, oh my gosh, that's crazy expensive and somebody's not going to click on it. But when they do click on it, it's in fact going to give them a discount code anyway. Do you have a perspective on kind of that discount code? Really from do I feel like I'm getting a deal here versus should I price it at what it actually is going to be paid anyway?
Yeah, pricing is so hard.
One thing I've done that I like, and this is just true to me and my brand, I'm just honest about it when I do a discount code. And I say, listen, we want to incentivize you to make a decision and the price is going to go up if you don't. And that means that I will have to do more marketing. So there is like a cost that is going to be associated with you not deciding to buy today. So I mean, and that's different because I know you have clothes, so it is a product and it's very tangible. But for us, it's, hey, if you make a decision today, I don't have to follow up with you. There's not that time, and just be honest about it. Like it's because it can be a little, slimy-ish if you don't feel like you're getting she's giving this discount to anybody.
Sure.
No.
See
In the
that.
garment industry, I didn't realize how much the markup is. And so if we're playing retailer, wholesaler and retailer, we can get away with obviously squeezing that margin, but like, what is the consumer feel when they see that kind of sticker shock and then give them a discount and they're like, oh, cool, this is reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jean, what are your thoughts on the discounting pricing? What hard lessons or great lessons have you learned along the way with that adventure?
We try to not train people to always look for the sale or discount, because then they won't buy stuff when we need
Right.
to buy it at full price.
Yeah.
So when we do have a discount or a sale, it's usually about a discount for doing something. Like if they leave a review, then give them like a discount code. If they play along on social media and do a survey for us or something, we'll get.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Really good idea.
That's nice. That's
Or
perfect.
buy a second product and
Yeah,
you get
like-
something off the second. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
We do during the holidays. It's usually when we do any sort of sales, and it's usually we do like the 12 days of kindness instead of the 12 days of Christmas. And so like on the first day of kindness, it's 12 days off or 12% off our lip products or something. And so people do sort of like plan for that, because we'll post it ahead of time of like when they're what days are going to be what discounts. But that's pretty much it. We feel like we're a premium product. We're not a discount product. Where we don't want people just to wait until they get like the email that says everything's 50% off. We want them to buy year round at full price, because we're not like, but we're not gouging the market either. We're selling at a fair price. So we're not selling as high as some of our competitors are. We're not selling as low as some of our competitors are. We're selling at what we think is fair. And we hope that people think that way too. Of course, everyone's going to say like, is there a sale? Or, because I'd like to buy more or whatever. But yeah, every once in a while buy like, buy 4 bars, get 1 free. Just because maybe we have our inventory is really high on that product. And so we're just trying to get rid of that or something. But yeah, we don't want to train our customers to always look for the sale.
Yeah, I think that's smart for sure. I'm guilty of that. I mean, of looking for a discount code or waiting for something or waiting for the holiday. And, but yeah, it's total training. It's total training. We are getting close to the end of Girls Time, and I'm so grateful for it. Before we finish up, though, I did want to ask any like lasting thoughts, either biggest surprises, things that surprised you the most, or you're like, oh my gosh, if I was doing this all over again, I wish someone would have told me blank. Need just sort of like last thoughts that you guys, Beth and Jean, would like to share with our viewers.
We would need another couple hours.
Right. Mine is just the testing piece. It's because we did it so many different ways and the marketing is so many different ways and we're still dialing it in. It's just get something, just ship something, just get something done. Ship it is Seth Godin. If I don't want to plagiarize, but his whole thing is just ship it, like metaphorically get something out the door so that you can get information back. And I just think building a business, building an online business, it's the same thing. Marketing, messaging, your actual product, you don't necessarily know until you know.
Mm-hmm. So like progress over perfection.
100%. Your perfection is only going to happen as a result of your progress. You're only going to know what works when you know what doesn't work. At least that's my experience.
I think it applies to many, many things in life for sure that I need to hear over and over and over again.
I know.
To get through my wooden head. Jean, any other, besides the hour-long seminar of all of your mistakes and failures, you're going to lead us all through it some way over a bottle of wine? Yeah,
for sure. I would say don't wait too long to bring in experts.
Mm.
To save money. I mean, I I knew I couldn't do accounting. So I knew that that was the first thing I probably needed to do, was to hire someone to do my taxes at the end of the year and all that stuff. But probably I've waited too long to bring in marketing experts, because I used to be part of a marketing department, but that was like 8 lifetimes ago, before there was even social media or Facebook or like, so my marketing expertise from then doesn't apply to now. And so I thought, well, I can do this myself. And it exhausts me. I hate it. I literally hate marketing. I hate, and that's a strong word, but I do. I hate it. I hate social media. I have a love-hate relationship with it, because it's so awesome for small businesses and small brands and things like that to get the exposure you need, but it's so like elusive also, because it's like, feels like it's always changing. The ground is the sand under your feet is always slipping, because Facebook's changed an algorithm, or it's just it's constantly changing. So really to have, and we are just now like starting to bring in marketing experts. We have done so little marketing till now. We probably could have been so much farther ahead if I had bitten the bullet and done it a couple years ago. But,
yeah. And when specialized in your industry, that's the other thing that's really cool to market specialization, e-commerce things as well. So I think that's great advice, again, regardless of what one's business is. Thank you, ladies, so much. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm so glad we had it record, it's recording and people are able to join us. But for anyone who missed the beginning of it, we'll get it posted later today. And you can watch it over and over and over again. We'll also include contact information for both Beth and Jean, both to their websites, and where you can buy their products as well, no matter where, products and services, no matter where you are. But also reach out, connect, commiserate, ask advice. They're both lovely, as lovely on the inside and in their brains as they are on your video screen today. So thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy days to be with us, investing in yourself. And we really look forward to seeing you in person if the presenter is in your local market starting in June. But if they're not, don't fret. We're still going to do in person. We call them watch parties. So you can come and watch, still be in the room with everybody else, engage live, ask presenters questions. We'll make it fun. You can BYO food or drink, open a bottle of wine in the middle of the workday if that's what you need. I've been there. All of that. We're just super excited to have everybody back together again, or you can continue engaging and watching live wherever you are, or recorded from home. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Great to see everyone, and I will see you all again soon.